Greetings, travelers. I'm your host, the C. That knows a lot, Dr. Waluigi. Now we take a look at my favorite year of the 1980s, as this was the year that gave us a lot of great classic movies, many of which I have talked about before and you'll hear about again. So let's not dilly-dally and dive right into this list.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Number 70. Howard the Duck. Starting off with the first theatrical Marvel movie, as well as my first review, the movie follows the comic a little loosely, as instead of being a part of a team that's tasked to save the world from a magical threat, this instead becomes a sci-fi adventure where Howard is stuck on Earth and ends up having to adapt to our world, leading him to fighting a giant space demon. I will say that I do get why people don't like this movie, especially when it came out, as it was Marvel's first theatrically made movie, and instead of making a movie based on some of their more recognizable characters like Spider-Man or the Hulk, which already had multiple TV series made, they chose a lesser-known character that hasn't had an effect on the Marvel universe in a large way. But despite that, I do think this movie gets way too much hate and is still a fun watch for the great story, acting, and special effects which were done by George Lucas's company, Industrial Light and Magic. Which, after George had to sell off part of Industrial Light and Magic, did end up helping create the first Toy Story movie, so you can't say that nothing good came from this movie.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Number 69. Big Trouble in Little China. I've talked about this movie a few times, but I still want to mention, again, how much I love this tribute to 70s martial arts movies. It's literally just John Carpenter throwing together all of the weird and fun cliches of martial arts films, as well as some weird fantasy elements that might not make sense to some, but my god does it make for a fun movie that has great action and laugh-out-loud moments when the shit starts to hit the fan. Not much else to say that I haven't said before, just an overall goofy and fun movie.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Number 68. Rawhead Rex. Yes, the Clive Barker monster movie that is based on his short story about an evil walking penis monster. I'm not kidding. Of course, they made some alterations to the monster's design, and while I can't say that the movie is as good as other monster movies like Godzilla or The Monster Squad, I do enjoy it for the gore and the suspenseful moments of this monster going around and terrorizing or killing people. And really, that's all you can ask for from a movie like this. I will admit that this isn't the best Clive Barker movie adaptation, as movies like Hellraiser or Nightbreed are better, but it does deliver the goods that come from this kind of subgenre.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Number 67. Little Shop of Horrors. One of the greatest horror musicals ever made, this was one I remember seeing in high school and was one of the many movies that made me want to become an actor. The movie is based off of the Broadway musical of the same name that, in turn, was a remake of the 1960s Roger Corman film about a young man who finds a strange plant that makes him rich and famous, but at the cost of having to kill people and feed them to the plant. I'd say what makes this movie so lovable are the characters, as most of them are played by some of the best comedic actors of the time, such as Rick Moranis and Steve Martin, and the music is both catchy and funky, which isn't surprising given that the music was written and composed by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, which, unless you've been living under a rock for the last 50 years, have created the finest pieces of music for the Walt Disney Company. So it's no surprise that the music from this movie is as cherished and beloved by all musical theater kids as well as moviegoers alike.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Number 66. The Wraith. One of the more unique thrillers of the 80s, this movie is one that I love for the amazing effects and the great music. The movie follows a group of road thugs that challenge people for their cars, but are then preyed upon and picked off one by a mysterious racer that may be a victim of their past. I consider this movie to be a thriller more than a true horror movie since there are very few horror elements in it, such as the deaths of the gang members, but we only see the explosions of their cars and that's it. However, that doesn't mean the movie is weak, as the special effects are amazing, and the cast of characters we have, while not as well written, are still entertaining and fun to watch. Which, given how many big-name stars were in this, isn't surprising, from Randy Quaid, Clint Howard, and Charlie Sheen. Ah well, this was before he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, so I'll take it.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Number 65. The Hitcher. I was fortunate enough to have discovered this movie before Rutger Hauer passed away, and it was the movie that got me to checking out more of his filmography. C. Thomas Howell plays a kid who is driving cross-country for a job, and comes across a hitchhiker played by Rutger Hauer, who ends up playing a game of cat and mouse with Howell, being forced into killing this man and causing massive amounts of property damage and death in his wake. Again, I just love the movie for its cast, from C. Thomas Howell as this kid just trying to escape this madman, but is constantly brought back into his crazy game, along with other innocent people. Rutger Hauer is an entertaining villain that I love for how he plans out making Howell suffer and ends up forcing him to become the person that kills him. Nothing more to say other than this is a great action thriller that has quite the adrenaline rush.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Number 64. Castle in the Sky. Oh look, another Ghibli film on my list. This is a gorgeous fantasy movie about a young boy that comes across a girl that holds the secret to the location of a place that is considered a myth. This is one of the many movies from Ghibli that has great animation and has my all-time favorite soundtrack from the Ghibli catalog. The English voice cast is also amazing, having Mark Hamill as the main villain, and did show he could do more than just the Joker voice, but the best character is the leader of a group of pirates called Dola, who is voiced by Cloris Leachman, and she and her gang is a riot throughout the movie. This movie is my second favorite Ghibli movie, right next to Whisper of the Heart, for the amazing animation, story, and fun characters. This is one I highly recommend for those looking for a great anime movie.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Number 63. Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Going back to the Friday series, this one has more amazing kills from the franchise and has the second best Jason design. After the poor fan response to the fifth movie, Paramount decided to bring Jason back as the killer by literally Frankensteining him back to life with a bolt of lightning. This is one I often hear people love for bringing Jason back, the amazing kills, as well as acknowledging and mocking the tropes of the franchise. Which I agree with, and also because of the Alice Cooper song, it makes it so high on the list. Though I will admit that because of the writing poking fun at the tropes, it makes some of the characters really stupid. Specifically, the police in this are so stubborn and dumb that it drives me up a wall and makes it a hard movie to sit through on recent rewatches. There is a lot of stuff to like with the Jason stuff when he comes back and goes on his merry murder spree, and I love the creepy summer camp setting with how the filmmakers create Jason as this immortal ghost. But those problems do make this irritating in some ways.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Number 62. Labyrinth. So, this and the next movie on my list are movies I've already talked about recently, so I'll just be quick with both and say this movie is still an all-time favorite fantasy movie for me, with how dreamlike it is, the amazing music, and puppetry. This is a movie that I rewatch every time I want to relive my childhood and to inspire me in my own work. I recommend watching my review if you want to know more of my thoughts on the movie, but all I'll say is it's a classic Jim Henson movie that you should all see.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Number 61. The Transformers the Movie. My all-time favorite animated film that celebrates its 40th anniversary, as well as the rest of the movies on the list, but this is one that I still claim is the best out of all of them. Even though people complain about it being a giant toy commercial, I still see it as an amazing animated movie that makes me happy whenever I rewatch it. The music is amazing, the downright gorgeous animation, and having the best moments with my favorite Autobots, the Dinobots. Again, if you want to know more of my thoughts on this movie, go check out my review and then go see the movie for yourselves. Well, that's the end of this list. Tune in next month for 1985, which will be quite the interesting one to see the commenters react to.